A few days ago, I was on YouTube and our good friend MAPDEC, he had a video on there reviewing or building a Chinese frame. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Hell is frozen over, all that stuff. I was thinking, now if he's going to build a Chinese frame, what's the equivalent of me doing that? And of course, let's build a time. But no, in all seriousness, Paul MAPDEC has been doing content on time for a while now. Obviously, he's the UK dealer or distributor or whatever. But he did some videos when he went over to the factory in Slovenia. And those videos, like, yeah, I was impressed or intrigued, I think we should say. And intrigued enough that, yeah, I took out my card, hold cash, and bought myself a new frame. So, yeah, this is what I went for. We have the Alpe in size extra small. I was going to go for the small, but they're out of stock, so I was impatient and went for the extra small. And also in this beautiful pink color. So obviously Paul raves about the quality, says it's the best thing since sliced bread. We're going to have a look at that today. But one thing I did notice is that in Paul's, I think he's got at least an hour on his channel now of coverage of this frame. You never see him put it on the scales. So I think I know why. And we're going to put this on the scales and see how much it weighs. So let's dive in. So first impressions when you get it out of the box, it is a nice looking piece of kit. Everything Paul says about the paint job, it rings true. I went over this with a fine tooth comb looking for any blemishes in the paint. There are none. So the paintwork is immaculate. Very nicely done. When you can see the weave, the parts that are exposed carbon fiber also looks nice. A few parts where it goes a bit wavy, but you know, nothing that's out of the ordinary. Everything else looks pretty nice as well. Very nice glossy finish. But yeah, you definitely notice it's got some heft to it. Exactly how much heft we shall see. So I've took off the seat post clamp. We've got the rear derailleur hanger on here. We have no front derailleur hanger. We've got the cover on there. I assume the front derailleur hanger is about the same weight, and that's usually how I weigh stuff. So let's weigh it like this. Let me just put this on here for some balance. Zero the scales and put it on. Oh, don't drop it. 1,043 grams. So a size extra small with half the carbon showing, so less paint. And yeah, 1,043 grams. Again, front fork, zero the scales, put it on here. Okay, we've got the polystyrene on there, adding a few grams. 399 grams. So the front fork, I'm going to say, is actually not that bad. That's, yeah, not the heaviest fork I've seen. 399 grams. Okay, so I'm no engineer, I'm no bike mechanic, any of that, but I do have a Hambini go, no go gauge.
Hello,
so we can check the BB. Obviously, Paul is a big fan of nice round holes. That came out wrong. Anyway, let's just check the BB. So we'll use the go side first. The go's not really going in. Let's try the no-go. Of course, yeah, the go side doesn't go in, the no-go side really doesn't go in. Okay, we'll have a look what's going on that in a minute. Hey, going in a little bit. Let's try the other side. Onto the non-drive side, the go gauge. It feels like there's 2 points that are higher than the rest, and it's kind of like rocking on those 2 points. Let's hold it up to the light and see what we can see. Okay, yeah, so I just checked the BB with the go, no go gauges. Maybe seems a little bit on the tight side to me. I could be wrong. The go wasn't really going. Looking through against the light, is it perfectly round? No, but no bottom bracket in the world is. It is pretty damn round, I'll give it that. So yeah, I think, again, me personally, I think bottom brackets, you don't have to be as precise as some people say you do. I think it'll be more than good enough. So we'll see when we build it up. We'll do a spin test, obviously, when it's built up. But no, I think the bottom bracket, no problem. Let's move on to the rest of the frame. Now, Paul, as much as loving his holes to be round, he loves his brake surfaces to be flat. Let's see how flat we are with this. So we'll do his little test of putting the adapter on there, squeezing it and seeing if it rocks. Yeah, so I'd say the rear, no matter which side we hold down, no rock, no problem, all good. I will say though, for like a $5 frame or whatever these frames cost these days, the packaging, meh. I think some of the new, more premium Chinese brands like Sika or whatever, I think they have better packaging than this. So I think it's one area where time could improve things a bit. It's not bad, it's just a bit factory-ish, you know. We want consumer products to be a bit fancier, I guess. But yeah, this paint job is absolutely amazing. So the packaging does what it's supposed to do and protects the paint, I guess. So anyway, let's look at the brake mounts. So front, don't know if you can hear that, but we have a bit of a wiggle. Let's put a bolt through it and see. Oof, oof, oof. Paul, you're not going to be happy. Yeah, with one side bolted down, we have a bit of a gap. I don't have any posh feeler gauges, but yeah, my jigsaw blade can't quite get through. How big is the gap, do we reckon? I don't know, let's have a look. Okay, so a small gap when it mounted on there. To make sure it's not this adapter that's bent, let's put the same adapter onto this Yolio fork. I have this fork lying around just because when the Yolio gave me the frame, they gave me 2 forks, one with holes for mounting stuff on the front fork and one without. So this front fork has been sitting around, never ridden, never touched for the past year or so. Let's mount this up. Exactly the same. Yeah. So no gap when on the Yolio, but ironically it touches a bit of paint that's overspray. So yeah, whether that's good or bad for the Yolio, you tell me. But yeah, and again, all of these things, it's all tiny, tiny millimeters. Fractions of a millimeter. When you actually set the bike up and you're riding it, you're never going to be able to tell the difference. I think it's also the same with bottom brackets, like your bottom bracket being slightly oversized or undersized by 0.02 of a mil or out of round by X%. Once it's built up, you're not going to know the difference. Also in with the frame, you get this white jiffy bag of stuff. So in here you've got the quick release, they've got the through axles, the steerer tube bung, all that stuff. And another one which seems to be more the FSA headset related stuff. And also this piece of paper, this is your instruction book. Scan me to download your owner's manual. Paul said in his video, you scan it and they don't actually have a manual for this model of frame, which, you know, if you're spending this much money, you'd hope for a manual, but it is what it is. I'm sure any competent mechanic can put it together, and I am not a competent mechanic, so we'll see. Also on the front fork, I just found a funny sticker. It's in French and English, obviously Time, a French brand, but the English says, no modification must be made on this fork. Guarantee will be cancelled in case of unrespect of the instructions. So obviously on the Chinese stuff, we get lots of Chinglish. It looks like the French stuff is also not immune to the bad English. But no, so far so good. Looks like a nice piece of kit. Like I say, the weight for me is the bit of the game killer. If this was 650 grams or 700 grams, I'd be drooling. But over 1,000 grams, I'm just like, meh. But what should I build it up with? That's the question I'm going to ask you guys. Should I put L2 on it and a bunch of budget stuff? Or should we break out all of the best Chinese stuff? You guys know what I've got access to. Yeah, what wheels, what cranks, what handlebars should we put on this thing? It's quite heavy, so I may have to go rummaging around in the top end bike parts to try and get the weight down. I think sub 6.8 is even going to be a challenge on a 1,000 plus gram frame, but we like a challenge, so we shall see. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think I should put on it. If you have any questions about the frame, also let me know. I'm sure Paul knows more about these frames than me, so I'm sure he'll be looking in the comments too. Maybe he can help you out. But yeah, let me know what we should put on it, and the next video will probably be me building this up. For me personally, I'm not really about how a frame is when you're just looking at the frame and, you know, oh, how round is the headset bearing seats and all this stuff. For me, it's about how does it ride. So I am kind of curious how it rides, because obviously their construction method is different to everyone else's, and I'm kind of curious how that's going to affect how it rides. So yeah, I'm curious, and well, curious enough to spend a few thousand of my own hard-earned pounds. But yeah, speaking of bearing seats, let's have a quick look while we're here. Oh, that is good though. I'll give them that. Let's try the bottom bearing seat. Drop it in. It's a very nice tip fit. Go on. Oh, oh. Yeah, but once we're in. No, respect. That's a nice bearing seat. But again, when you're riding it, can you tell the difference between a perfect bearing seat and a non-perfect bearing seat? We shall see, I guess. So yeah, looking forward to building this one up. But yeah, if anyone from Time is watching, keep working with Paul. The marketing is working, because it made me go buy this frame. So yeah, I hope it rides as good as it looks. I'm looking forward to building it up. And make sure you don't miss that video when it comes. So do subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And also, if you didn't see Paul's original video that I was talking about earlier about the light carbon, go watch that video. Great video, and also interesting towards the end. He goes to the story behind that particular bike that was building up for his customer. That customer, I'm not going to go into all the details, go watch it, but it's for a very good cause. So go watch that video too. And I'll see you next time. Kinda Cycling, out.